Hello everyone, it's the amazing people of Glastonbury, and today I have the beautiful Jessica Tizard with me, also known as the Jessums, also known as one of the most wonderful people in town that you could ever cross paths with. So Jess was one of the beginning coordinators of the Glastonbury Community Fridge. She's an amazing artist if you're looking for some unique hand-painted art. She's an incredible musician, and she is one of the most thoughtful, loving friends that a girl could ask for. So, one of the things that inspires me most about Jess, and the reason that I wanted to interview her for the amazing people of Glastonbury, is because she lives such an ethical, sustainable, in harmony with nature life, and I find it really inspiring. And every day Jess inspires me to eat healthier, to care for the environment a little bit more, and to be a little bit kinder to the people around me. And I know that for Jess, this all started when her family made the move from the big city into Tinker's Bubble, a little community in the forest. But I'm going to ask Jess to please tell us a little bit more about what Tinker's Bubble is, how it works, and what inspires her about it most.
Thank you. That was such a beautiful introduction. I don't know. I've been in and out of community living and living outside of standard, society here and there. And my family also have. They lived a normal life for a while, and it was very difficult for them to work in that world. And so they found Tinker's Bubble, and if you haven't heard of it, it is probably one of the most off-grid communities in England and possibly Europe, and it's based around making very little carbon footprint and working with the land and going back to basics and just living this simple, beautiful and hard graft lifestyle. I lived there just for a winter whilst I was also studying, and I had a little insight into that world, and my family live it every day. They work on the land, they work with the animals. My siblings have both been homeschooled and gone to normal school whilst living there, and they get to see this world that is all about what is here below your feet, and what is the trees that are next to you, and how to really look after yourself right from the basics of chopping the wood and sawing the wood to keep you warm at night. It's a very sustainable and very different kind of lifestyle, I guess.
What inspires you most about the bubble? And when you're, because we're pretty lucky in Glastonbury, we're quite a close-knit, loving community, but even here, what do you miss most when you come back to sort of regular life, that you what
do I miss from the bubble? I think actually it is the hard graft stuff. I think for me, feeling strong and capable isn't just something of the mind, but it's something deeply within the body. And
something satisfying about cutting your own wood, rolling your own dough for bread,
totally.
The vinegar, because you guys do apple cider,
and cider pressing, and waking up in the morning and then walking down and saying hello to the chickens and saying hello to the geese and going over and saying hi to the cows and the pigs, and just having a morning filled with all of these different animals and personalities, and I love that. I really love that. And it's a different kind of time, it's a different kind of feeling of time when you're in the bubble, because it will take all day to prepare a meal, because you're starting right from scratch. You're cutting the wood to heat the fire, to then go down into the gardens and pick the foods to then cook, and so everything is very, very slow and quite mindful. And I've only had a little snippet of this life, and my family live it all the time, but from what I see I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Really lovely. And like you were telling me the other day about the steam saw, and I couldn't even comprehend that, because I love how harmonious it is, and we don't need all of these big machines, and you know, we don't need to be pumping out huge amounts of emissions. We can do it all naturally, and it's so inspiring and beautiful to see people doing that.
Yeah.
Another thing that Jessica's brought to town is Jessica was one of the beginning coordinators of the Glastonbury Community Fridge, which is aimed at taking surplus food and reducing food wastage by giving the food that the supermarkets would otherwise throw away and providing it to people that need it, which is everyone in town, really. I think the fridge has changed so many people's lives. What inspired you to start that project, Jessums?
Well, there's a big shout out to Gina Ty-Wharton, because she created this in Glastonbury town, and also to Elise, because she is the main coordinator and manager of it now, and they're both wonderful. And yeah, they put in a lot of time and effort to create something that carries on and is standing really strong in town, and I think it is beautiful. I have worked with handing out surplus food for some years now, and so when I heard that Gina was looking for a little bit of help, that's how me and Elise came to help with the coordination of this. And Gina did a lot of the work, like a lot of the work, to understand all the processes, to sign all the papers, to go through all the documents and stuff, which is amazing, and it's the kind of things that I am not very equipped to do. But I love working with food, and I love feeding people, and yeah, and I love sharing. And I lived in a community, in a squat in France for a little while. And this was the first time that I really saw food being distributed from a place of just giving.
Kindness.
Yeah, it was really lovely, and it was this big squat in the middle of the city, and yeah, we'd go to the markets every day, and we'd collect all of the food, and there was, you know, baskets and baskets of all this wastage stuff, and then we'd go back and cook, and we'd spend the whole day together as a community of maybe, like, I don't know, 5 or 10, and create beautiful things, and then have it all together. And sometimes the community would bring in the homeless from the street, and sometimes they'd go out and feed people, and it's just this kind of space of sharing for the sake of sharing, because there is so much wastage food. It's crazy. It's how I travelled. I travelled through having very little money, but asking and finding wastage food as I went along, and I think that yeah, it's great that in Glastonbury community we can now see the amount of wastage food that is here, but also see it being used in a really beautiful way. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that sort of links the two, and I think one of my favourite things about like the fridge, because I clean it sometimes and I see like the people come in, and it's really unifying, and it makes everyone feel, so there is something really sort of grounding and like there's a real root chakra aspect to food, where if you feel like you've got enough food, you feel like provided for and safe and nourished, and it's really unifying. And that's what I love the most about both projects, and that's what I love most about like listening to you talk and like seeing the way that you guys live, because it's really unifying and harmonious, and it's small things, but it makes life so, it reminds you that life can be so simple and so easy, and it reminds you how little people actually need to be happy.
Yeah, completely.
It's all you need really is family. But one of the other things that I love about Jess is that she's always doing really creative projects, and I think you have a really beautiful mind. I love the way you sort of... Hello!
Hi. I'm going to be very quiet.
One of our other favourite people in town, Yoli. Came in.
You guys doing the interview?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Enjoy.
And so I wanted to ask you, Jessums, like as an artist, like how did you start painting? Because I know you've always been creative, but like, what's your biggest source of inspiration? Like, where does inspiration come from for you? And what do you love most about painting and music?
That's a lovely question. I think it would probably be a huge shout out to my harp teacher, Elizabeth Jane Baldry. She is wonderful, and when I was a kid, I had the amazing, profound experience of being able to learn the harp from a very young age. I think I was 6 or 7, and I just had this little folk harp, and I'd go and take lessons with Elizabeth Jane Baldry every week, and her house was like something from a fairy tale. It had Brian Froud paintings all over it, and books stacked up on shelves, and so many different harps, and not a grand piano, but a piano that was grand in its nature. And it was just filled with inspiration. It was just brimming with joy and something truly unique. You know, she had this, and she still does. She has this passion for life and this zest and this creativity and this quirkiness, which really filled me with hope. I guess I was quite an odd kid, and I think I liked the people in life that can stand and be themselves and be odd and beautiful, you know.
It takes a lot of courage.
Well, yeah, I guess it can, and I think it also can, can go past that and just be a place of being. You know, I think that's amazing when you can see these creative people like I saw in Elizabeth Jane that they just were. You know, there didn't seem like there was any trying. She just was, and yes, and so that's where a lot of my sort of inspiration for fae creatures and the fae world come from. And Brian Froud, I love his drawings. I think that, he captures nature in a way that, I don't know, really resonates. And yeah, it's dark and it's mystic and it's beautiful, and I love it. Yeah.
Well, you remember a little bit of a fairy yourself. I know I sound funny when I say that, but like, tell me about your connection with nature and like your experiences with the fairy folk, because I know you've had them, and like, what's been your biggest lesson in life from nature and from connecting with the earth?
Wow, big questions. I think my connections with nature have been sort of around creativity and finding inspiration and finding that kind of stillness, but also that excitement. And I think, what have I learned from nature? I don't know, I've learned to enjoy the chaos,
Yes.
I think.
Because there's order in the chaos as well.
Yeah, totally, and just a freedom in the chaos and in expression. And I think I remember from a very young age this pull to go and dance in storms. And you know, when there's a big storm in the summer or the winter, or when there's that hot heavy rain, I've always had this pull to run outside and dance. And I think that I just love the way that nature can be so, I don't know, so sort of chaotic and at the same time so peaceful, and it has so many layers to it, and it has, I don't know, it has deep feeling and emotion, and like it's just here, you know, you can't run away from it. And so when it is chaotic, you can only dance, and I love that. Yes.
You've been living in Glastonbury for a while. How long's it been?
I don't know, I think it's on and off maybe over 2 years, but it's been very on and off. I tend to jump from here to there. Yeah.
So I know it's a bit of a woo-woo question, but it's one that I ask everyone that I interview for the video channel. If you look at Glastonbury as like a mystery school, or like a magnifying glass that sort of shows you aspects of yourself that you need to sort of maybe heal or work on, or you know, like open up, what do you feel has been your biggest Glastonbury mystery school lesson?
Ooh, biggest Glastonbury mystery school lesson. That's a big question. I think it's sort of, yeah, maybe having that freedom, that total freedom of expression.
Be yourself.
Yeah, and I think I've always liked to express myself, and I've always liked to be myself. But I think that Glastonbury is it's quite a loud space. I find that there's lots of, colour and vibrancy, and I find that myself, I can be more introverted, but within Glastonbury I've found more of my extrovert and playfulness, and more of an ability to just sort of, I don't know, play for the sake of play. Yeah, it's nice.
Play for the sake of play. That
Yeah.
is so beautiful, and it's so true. But like, it takes a certain amount of like inner child and like comfortable with your inner childness. Like, as an artist, I suppose that's quite easy to access. But then again, I know there's like all the processes that you have to go to sort of keep that alive. Because sometimes it's a really vulnerable place, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, being artistic or being creative, you can sometimes be just too serious with it. Yes, I'm not. But I think it's it's great to just have around me so many playful and inspiring people that I can just like let go of what it is or what it has to be, and just be and just play and just
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
If there's one thing the COVID year has taught us, it's to just be in the moment.
Yes, God. Yeah, it's been good actually. It's been really good to ground and not have that excuse or that ability to just run off and travel. I think it's been really nice to put in some roots and like listen to a lot of the Tao and kind of get into this sort of space of enjoying more of the simplicity, I think. Yeah, it's nice.
Okay. Last question.
Mhm.
If you could share a message with anyone watching this, like now or in 10 years from now, or in any part of the world, from the heart of Babylon, what would your message be?
Whoa. God.
Time capsule.
Well, I think it's just live, enjoy, and be creative, play.
Oh,
I think
that's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, everyone lives their lives, and I think that it's just living without judgment is probably the one. Yeah.
What's been your biggest, like, sorry, I'm going on and on now. Like, because, like, you know how sometimes you just get caught up in your mind and then, like, it's going on, you don't know how to switch it. How do you do it? Because I know you're one of my biggest inspirations for this, because you're always in this state of, like, innocence and joy and purity and just heart light, like, just beaming out of you. Like, how do you do it?
Aww. That's very kind. I have no idea.
Just by being.
No, God, there's always ups and downs. But yeah, I think I'm lucky enough not to have a very big internal head voice, which is always good. But I don't know, I'd say like being creative and trying to stay in that creative place for me keeps me sane, and having family and having strong connections with my friends and the people that I love. And I think life is a lot easier when you have those people around you that are there for you and you're there for them. And I find that cooking, making food, making music, dancing and being around people that are full of love is just lovely.
And thank you for being that. Like, thank you for being like the heart of our little bubble here, because you really do. You bring people together, and it's amazing, and you do it in a way that only you could. And
very lovely.
Thank you on behalf of all of us for always doing that. And thank you for this interview. It was amazing and super inspiring. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And thank you, Jessums.
Oh, thank you. It's beautiful.